Let me ask you something. How often do you let people, situations, or emotions control you? How often do you react instead of respond? Because here's the truth. When you can't control yourself, you hand your power to everyone and everything around you. I've seen people crumble under pressure. Not because they weren't strong enough, but because they didn't know how to own their emotions. You can't lead, you can't protect, and you can't grow if you're a slave to every thought that crosses your mind. Taking control of yourself is not about being emotionless. It's about mastering your emotions so they serve you, not sabotage you. The world will test you. People will push you. Life will shake you. But if you stay grounded, if you train your mind the way you train your body, no one can break you. Today, I'm going to show you what it truly means to take control. Not just of your reactions, but of your mindset, your energy, and your life. Because when you master yourself, you don't just survive. You dominate every challenge that comes your way. Master your emotions before your emotions master you. That's where real control begins. Most people believe that strength is about physical dominance or loud authority. But true strength starts from within. How well you manage yourself when everything around you feels out of control. The world will constantly challenge you, and emotions will always show up: anger, fear, jealousy, disappointment. You can't stop them from coming, but you can control how you respond. And that's what separates powerful people from powerless ones. When you let emotions take over, you give up control of your decisions. You say things you regret, act impulsively, and end up trapped in cycles of reaction. But when you learn to pause, breathe, and assess what's happening inside you, you become the one in command. Emotional mastery is not about suppression. It's about awareness. You must be able to say, "I feel angry," without becoming that anger. "I feel afraid," without being that fear. It's the difference between letting emotions pass through you versus letting them define you. People often confuse emotional control with coldness. They think being calm means being disconnected or unfeeling. But emotional mastery doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you feel everything deeply yet choose your actions deliberately. It's about power in restraint. It's knowing that your reaction can either escalate chaos or create order. When someone provokes you, and you remain steady, that's not weakness, that's dominance. Because nothing unsettles a manipulator more than someone who refuses to lose control. Every powerful person you've ever admired, from leaders to protectors to high performers, has mastered this art. They train their minds like warriors train their bodies. They don't rely on moods. They rely on discipline. They understand that emotions are temporary, but consequences are permanent. So, they make choices that align with their values, not their impulses. This kind of control takes practice. It requires self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and the courage to face yourself honestly. You can't master your emotions if you're afraid to confront them. Start by observing your triggers. What makes you angry, anxious, or insecure? Those triggers are not your enemies. They're signals pointing to what still controls you. Once you identify them, you take their power away. You become less reactive and more strategic. You start responding with logic instead of panic, with strength instead of ego. This is how you shift from emotional chaos to inner authority. Because no matter what happens outside you, your internal state remains steady, grounded, and unshakable. Emotional mastery also changes the way you deal with people. You stop giving away your peace to others' behavior. When someone tries to insult you, you recognize it's about them, not you. When things don't go your way, you don't crumble, you adapt. You learn that control isn't about changing others. It's about managing yourself so powerfully that nothing external can shake you. You learn to listen without taking things personally, to act without seeking validation, and to lead without needing approval. There will always be moments that test your limits. You'll face betrayal, failure, rejection. But those moments are your training ground. That's where you either lose yourself or learn yourself. Emotional control is built in discomfort. in those seconds where your instincts scream to react, and you choose instead to pause. It's in that pause that strength is forged. Every time you hold your center, you reinforce that you, not your emotions, are in charge. Over time, this becomes your default mode. Calm replaces chaos, focus replaces fear, and power replaces panic. Because mastery of your emotions is mastery of your life. Discipline is the foundation of real freedom. Most people think freedom means doing whatever they want, whenever they want, without limits or rules. But that kind of freedom is an illusion. True freedom doesn't come from indulgence. It comes from structure. It comes from the ability to control yourself so well that no distraction, no temptation, and no weakness can pull you away from what truly matters. Discipline isn't punishment, it's power. It's the quiet commitment that builds strength, confidence, and consistency, even when motivation fades. Every successful person you've ever admired didn't get there because they felt inspired every day. They got there because they trained themselves to do what needed to be done, especially when they didn't feel like it. Discipline is what separates those who talk about goals from those who achieve them. It's the invisible force behind mastery. You can't become great by waiting for the perfect moment or ideal conditions. You become great by showing up over and over, even when it's uncomfortable. That's how you build resilience. That's how you build trust in yourself. When you live with discipline, you gain control over your impulses. You stop chasing instant gratification and start playing the long game. Most people sabotage their success because they want comfort more than progress. They want results without the routine that creates them. But discipline flips that mindset. It teaches you to endure short-term discomfort for long-term gain. You start to value consistency over intensity, progress over perfection. You start to realize that every small choice, what time you wake up, what you feed your mind, how you respond to challenges, is shaping your future. Discipline doesn't mean rigidity. It doesn't mean living without joy or spontaneity. It means having a framework that protects your goals from chaos. It's the structure that gives you the freedom to move with confidence, because you know you've earned your control. Without discipline, you're at the mercy of your moods and circumstances. One bad day can throw you off track. One negative comment can shake your confidence. But when you're disciplined, you operate from principle, not emotion. You can feel tired and still execute. You can feel afraid and still move forward. That's real power. The kind that can't be taken from you. People often admire others' confidence, but overlook the discipline behind it. Confidence doesn't appear out of nowhere. It's built through repeated follow-through. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you build credibility with your own mind. You start to believe in your ability to handle whatever comes. And that belief creates inner freedom. You're no longer controlled by fear, procrastination, or doubt. You become reliable to yourself. That reliability is what gives you peace of mind, because you know you can count on you. There's also an emotional side to discipline. It's not just about doing the work. It's about managing your energy and focus. You can't control every situation, but you can control how you show up. Discipline teaches you to stay calm under pressure, to think strategically when others panic, and to keep your vision clear when the noise around you gets loud. It's the ability to pause before reacting, to rest when needed but never quit. It's the balance between grace and grit. Every time you choose discipline, you're building a stronger version of yourself. You're proving that you're not defined by your circumstances, but by your choices. The world around you will always try to test your limits. Distractions, setbacks, people who don't believe in you. But if your discipline is stronger than your environment, nothing can stop you. That's where real freedom lies. Not in comfort, not in control over others, but in full command of yourself. Because once you've mastered discipline, you don't need to be pushed. You become unstoppable on your own. Detachment is not weakness, it's strategic control. Most people think detachment means not caring or shutting down emotionally, But in truth, it's the opposite. Detachment means caring deeply but refusing to be consumed by outcomes or other people's behavior. It's the ability to stay centered when everything around you is chaotic. When you detach, you don't withdraw from life. You engage with it intelligently. You see things as they are, not as your emotions distort them. That clarity is power. Emotional detachment is one of the most misunderstood skills in life. People confuse it with indifference, but indifference comes from fear, detachment comes from strength. It's what allows you to stay calm in conflict, rational in stress, and objective in decision-making. You can't lead, protect, or perform at your best if you're emotionally tangled in every outcome. Detachment allows you to rise above the noise, observe patterns, and act with purpose instead of panic. It's what keeps you from reacting impulsively or being manipulated by others' emotions. In every difficult situation, whether it's personal or professional, there's always emotional pressure. People will try to pull you into their chaos, their drama, their pain. If you take everything personally, you lose control. But when you learn to detach, you stop absorbing everyone's energy. You stop carrying emotions that aren't yours to hold. You realize that you can empathize with others without drowning in their emotions. That's how you stay grounded while everyone else loses balance. It's how you protect your peace without building walls. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop clinging. You can love someone and still recognize when something isn't healthy. You can give your best effort and still accept that the result might not go your way. You can be disappointed without being destroyed. That's emotional maturity. You stop basing your worth on outcomes and start valuing the process. How you show up, how you respond, how you carry yourself. Because that's what's in your control. Everything else is noise. When you detach from outcomes, you gain back your mental space. You stop overthinking, overanalyzing, and replaying scenarios that already happened. You stop giving energy to things you cannot change. That's where clarity begins. You start focusing on what you can control, your mindset, your actions, your effort. And that's where progress lies. Detachment doesn't weaken your emotions, it sharpens your perception. It lets you see who truly values you, what really matters, and where your energy deserves to go. In relationships, detachment gives you strength. It keeps you from becoming dependent on validation, approval, or attention. You can care about someone deeply and still know when to walk away. You can have compassion without self-betrayal. You stop chasing closure, because you realize peace doesn't come from others. It comes from within. This is how you maintain power in a world that constantly tries to pull it from you. The more you practice detachment, the more emotionally intelligent you become. You stop reacting to noise and start responding to truth. In high-pressure situations, detachment helps you perform. When emotions run high, those who remain calm make the smartest decisions. Whether it's in business, conflict, or personal challenge, the person who stays emotionally neutral often wins. Because they're not controlled by fear, ego, or anger. They're guided by logic, discipline, and purpose. That's what detachment gives you, the ability to think clearly when others can't. It's easy to get caught up in wanting to control everything. How people act, how things end, how success looks. But the reality is, control is an illusion. The only thing you can truly control is yourself. Detachment helps you focus on that truth. It frees you from emotional chaos and puts you back in command of your energy. Because once you stop being ruled by external forces, you become unstoppable. You stop chasing peace and start being peace. And that's the highest form of strength. Confidence comes from preparation, not arrogance. True confidence isn't loud, it isn't showy, and it doesn't need validation from anyone else. It's quiet, grounded, and earned through consistent effort and preparation. People often mistake arrogance for confidence because arrogance is easy to fake. It's loud, it demands attention, it thrives on ego. But confidence doesn't need to prove itself. It comes from knowing that you've done the work, that you've shown up for yourself, and that you can rely on your own abilities when it counts. Preparation is what builds that trust. It's the foundation that allows you to walk into any situation with composure instead of fear. Confidence built on arrogance is fragile. The moment things go wrong, it collapses. But confidence built on preparation is unshakable. It doesn't depend on praise, recognition, or external success. It comes from discipline, from hours of unseen effort, from doing the small things no one notices. When you prepare, you build competence. And competence creates certainty. You don't have to tell people you're confident. They can see it in the way you move, the way you speak, and the way you handle pressure. You can't fake calmness under stress. It's earned. Preparation is the secret weapon that separates those who talk from those who perform. It's what gives you an edge when others panic. Because when you've trained your mind and body to perform under pressure, uncertainty doesn't scare you, it excites you. You're not guessing, you're executing. You've already faced the discomfort in private, so when the world is watching, you're ready. That's the difference between someone who hopes things go well and someone who knows they will handle whatever happens. The reason most people struggle with confidence is because they rely on emotion instead of effort. They want to feel ready before they act. But real confidence doesn't wait for feelings. It's built from preparation that overrides fear. Every time you practice, study, or train, you're reinforcing the message to yourself, I can do this. That repetition rewires your mind to believe in your capability. So when the moment comes, your body and mind already know what to do. You've rehearsed it, refined it, and owned it. That's how true confidence is born. Not from luck or ego, but from relentless preparation. Preparation also builds mental toughness. It teaches you to stay calm in chaos because you've already visualized challenges and setbacks. You've already made peace with failure and turned it into feedback. Confidence isn't about never falling. It's about knowing you'll always get back up. When you prepare, you remove uncertainty, and with less uncertainty comes less fear. You no longer see obstacles as threats, you see them as part of the process. You're not shaken by criticism, because you know your value isn't based on opinions. It's based on proof, your own consistent effort. Arrogance, on the other hand, is built on insecurity. It masks fear by projecting superiority. It speaks loudly to silence doubt. But the moment pressure hits, arrogance cracks. Because there's no substance behind it. Confidence is different. It doesn't seek approval. It doesn't need to dominate others to feel powerful. It's self-contained. And that's what makes it magnetic. People are drawn to those who radiate calm assurance, not to those who boast about their strength. When you prepare, you carry yourself differently. You listen more, you observe more, and you act with precision. You're not in a rush to prove yourself. You already have. That quiet certainty is what makes others trust you and what keeps you stable when challenges arise. Preparation turns anxiety into assurance. It transforms fear into focus. And the more prepared you are, the more freedom you feel. Because you're not depending on luck or chance. You've earned your confidence through consistency, and no one can take that away. That's the kind of strength that doesn't need to be spoken. It's seen, felt, and respected. Power begins the moment you stop reacting and start responding. Most people move through life on autopilot, reacting to everything that happens around them without awareness. They react to criticism with defensiveness, to fear with hesitation, to stress with anger. But every reaction is a loss of control. It means you've given your power to the situation, to another person, or to an emotion. Responding, on the other hand, is deliberate. It's when you pause, assess, and choose your action from a place of clarity instead of chaos. That pause is where your power lives. When you react, you operate from instinct. Your body's survival system takes over, and you say or do things that might feel satisfying in the moment, but destructive later. When you respond, you operate from intelligence. You take back command of your thoughts, emotions, and behavior. You shift from being controlled to being in control. This doesn't mean you suppress emotion. It means you master it. It means you give yourself a moment to breathe, to understand, and to decide what truly serves you before acting. Responding is power in motion. It's calmness disguised as strength. In every conflict, argument, or stressful event, there's always a space between what happens and how you choose to deal with it. That small space is the difference between peace and chaos, success and regret. Most people never use that space because they're ruled by impulse. But the most powerful people, the ones who stay calm under pressure, know how to expand that gap. They take that split second to think, what outcome do I want here? Before speaking or acting. That simple act of mindfulness transforms how you handle everything in life. Reacting keeps you stuck in the past. Responding keeps you moving forward. When you react, you replay old emotions, patterns, and habits. You give the situation authority over your mindset. But when you respond, you're proactive. You create new patterns. You take what's happening and use it as information, not intimidation. You don't let someone's behavior dictate your energy. You decide what deserves your attention, what doesn't, and how much mental space you're willing to give it. That's emotional intelligence in practice. Learning to respond instead of react doesn't come naturally. It takes discipline and awareness. It starts with learning your triggers. What makes you defensive, impatient, or afraid? Once you recognize those triggers, you can anticipate them. The next time someone tries to provoke you, instead of taking the bait, you can observe your reaction internally and choose differently. That's how you train emotional control, through repetition and mindfulness. Each time you respond with calm instead of chaos, you reinforce your power. This skill also transforms relationships. When you stop reacting, communication becomes more thoughtful, conflict becomes manageable, and respect grows. People sense your stability. They know they can't manipulate or provoke you easily. That kind of composure commands respect. Not through intimidation, but through quiet confidence. You don't have to raise your voice to be heard. You don't have to prove your strength through aggression. Your control speaks for you. Responding also protects your energy. When you react emotionally, you waste mental strength on that don't deserve it. You replay arguments, regret words, and carry stress that wasn't necessary. But when you respond intentionally, you move through life lighter. You let go of what's not worth holding. You understand that not everything demands a reaction, not every comment deserves an answer, and not every situation requires your involvement. You start to live with purpose, not impulse. Every powerful person you see has mastered this balance. They don't let emotions, people, or circumstances dictate their behavior. They lead with clarity, grounded in patience and awareness. It's not that they don't feel anger, fear, or pain. It's that they've learned how to manage those emotions before they take control. That's true strength. Because power isn't found in dominance, revenge, or noise. It's found in restraint, awareness, and intention. The moment you stop reacting to everything, and start choosing your responses deliberately, you stop being at the mercy of the world. You become the master of yourself.